Back to the Culture Call on Praise 93.3 with L. Spencer Smith. Our desire is to reach and empower the community by discussing a cross-section of relevant topics from various perspectives that are essential to its growth and interpersonal connections. Be sure to save our call-in number, 205-752-4800. Be sure to install the free Praise 93.3 app so you can send L. Spencer Smith a message or topic idea. Search for WTSK in your app store.
This is the world premiere.
Great morning, precious people, and welcome. That's right, welcome to the Culture Call with L. Spencer Smith, right here on Praise 93.3 FM. It is the place where Tuscaloosa meets the world. And for the next 2 hours, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., I'm going to be right here talking a little bit about everything. That's right, everything from society to sports, education to economics, and religion to relationships. That's we are here to create a safe space to have empowering conversations. You know how we do it. Empowering, provocative, and sometimes controversial conversations. And guess what? You can call in and you can chat it up with us right here as we learn together on the Culture Call. Listen up. I want to make sure that I do this every time that I get on the air. And that is to remind you, if you've not done so already, to download that app, that free 99 app, Praise 93.3 FM. You can go to your Apple or your Android device and you can find that, yes, and you can listen to us from all around the world. That's right. Doesn't matter where you are. You could be in Wichita, Kansas. You could be in New York City. You can be in Des Moines, Iowa. It does not matter, especially if you are here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. We want you to download that and you can hear us wherever you are. And some of you may be at work. Yeah. And you can put your earphones in or your AirPods in and, listen to us and be a part of the Culture Call conversation. Of course, as always, I want to be your public relations marketing manager, and you can email me your public service announcements and events at culturecall.praise@gmail.com. That's culturecall.praise@gmail.com, and give me an opportunity to tell everybody to create some traffic in your event, in your church, for your fraternity or your sorority a moment or organization. You may have something going on, and we want to make sure that everybody knows what's happening in your neck of the woods. That's right. We do it better when we do it together. So give me that opportunity and email me your public service announcement. And of course, you can always listen to us and save this number, 205-752-4800. That's 205-752-4800, and call into the show. That's right. Call into the show and be a part of the conversation. Or definitely, if you download that app, you can hit me up on the chat and you can tell me how I'm doing. I want to know. That's right. I want to know if I'm hitting it on the head or whether I'm stinking up the joint. You missing it today, Al. Okay, no problem. I still want to hear from you. Or you can give me ideas. And you all have given me some amazing ideas for future conversations that we're getting ready to have. But nonetheless, I want you to be right here and stay in touch with us here at the Culture Call and let us know how we're doing, right? So do me a favor, sit back and relax. Grab you some coffee. You know what we like around here, whether it's Maxwell House or Starbucks. Yeah. Or go ahead and grab you some herbal tea. That's right. Some chamomile or some green tea. Get your little caffeine kick. That green tea is some healthy caffeine for you. Or you can get some alkaline water and get down to that cellular level. Make sure that you're up and at 'em. Yeah. And let's get hydrated and get into the culture. Listen, I want to say a hearty thank you and have appreciation to all of you who listen to us on the daily. That's right. Whether we are in the studio or whether we are remote, doesn't matter. You listen to us all of the time and you give us your feedback and you let us know how important we are to the community. When you see me out, I am so appreciative to everything that you do for us and toward us and making us feel like we are definitely making an impact in the world. That's because of you. Yeah. And I believe that my community, definitely the Black community, is worth it. I believe that you are worth everything that we do and the research and the study and the times when we are funny and all of that. I think that you are worth it all, because if you build a strong community, you have a strong city. And if we build a strong city, we'll have a strong state. Y'all know how that goes. And eventually we'll get to being a strong country, not just in word, but indeed as well. But it begins with you. And so I want you to know on this beautiful morning that I appreciate you 1,000%. Absolutely, absolutely, definitely. Listen, there's so much going on in the world. Are y'all paying attention to the news? I mean, stuff is going on. I'm telling you, the former president has been indicted again. Yeah, that's my goodness. Special prosecutor Jack Smith sent out another indictment to the former president with regards to the January 6th attempt to overturn the election, the fair election there. And there's another one coming out of Georgia, Fannie Willis. She's going to be dealing with that and sending out an indictment. I mean, so much is going on in the world, especially in the world of politics. And all of that is important. Don't disconnect yourself from that. Because, you know, those people who we send to Washington, D.C. are supposed to represent all of us, and making this country better. And sometimes what they do is they go to Washington and forget that they're from Alabama, forget that they're from Nevada, forget that they're from Georgia and Mississippi, and they get they get suckered and manipulated into representing interests that only reflects a small portion of the country. And it's not about black and white, that they go to the United States and they see green. And that's how they move, and the lobbyists and all of that kind of stuff. And so we need to pay attention because, yeah, those people who we send there are accountable to us. We are not accountable to them, even though that's how they make it seem, that we are accountable to them only to vote for them. But they are definitely accountable to us, because if we don't vote for them, guess what? They will be home looking at the TV or sitting, listening to the radio, listening to the coach call, right? So we want to make sure that we pay attention. So much is going on. And even as we come into that season, we need to be more aware of what is happening. Like the folks say, stay woke, right? No matter how that word has been hijacked in the culture in terms of, you know, what it means and what it doesn't really mean. It has been hijacked from the conservative movement concerning, you know, what woke is. But woke means just simply pay attention to the things that go on in our country with regards to the oppressive nature and some of the, you know, the things that they do to make us, you know, unaware and move in a systematic oppression and approach to limiting people in their daily lives. We need to pay attention to all of that because that's a part of the cry loud and spare not that we have to do, and calling people out and saying, hey, this is for the people and by the people, you know, and you know, so we need to hold you accountable to representing all of us. Even that the congressional district outlining that disenfranchises black voters that's back before the courts now, or about to be back before the courts. That's something that's very important, because what you're saying is that my vote is not equal, or I don't have equal voice, I shouldn't have equal voice and footing as our Caucasian brothers and counterparts. And so, yeah, definitely we need to pay attention to that, because all of that is going on. Nonetheless, I believe that if we come together as a community and move forward, and we begin to discover who our leaders are and begin to, you know, I believe that I'm a community leader, and I believe that you are a community leader. That's a passion of mine, that we find the leaders in our community and we push the entire community forward, house by house, family by family, name by name, that we begin to etch out a system of understanding that we, the people together, can make a difference in our community and even in our world. Listen. Yesterday, we had an amazing conversation, and shout out to all of the teachers that hit me up on social media and told me how, you know, wonderfully blessed you were, because we were encouraging teachers. And we're still doing that today. We are encouraging teachers today, but I want to expand it a little bit. I want to talk about how can we build, you know, community corporations and support to help teachers in the classroom and provide opportunities for them to be able to give an expansive education to our children. You know, the more that our children are exposed to and the more that they know, the better equipped that they will be in order to represent us in the future. You know, I think that if we begin to allow ourselves to partner with teachers and as parents, as as politicians and those business owners, entrepreneurs, if we will partner with schools and teachers to offer better resources for our children, we would see, especially in Alabama, who is in one of the lowest categories with regards to education in this entire community or entire country. If we would do that, we would see and have better outcomes. But it's very intentional that we must do that. We have to, there is a pit in the world today, or in this country, and I don't want to say the world, but the country, to pit parents against teachers, because teachers have the responsibility of educating our young people, our children, to the realities, the histories, the realities of the world, right? That they have a responsibility to make sure that our children are not late, last, and lost, but that they are viable in the total global community, whose culture, the Asians and all of those people, the Indians, those from those countries, foreign countries, are excelling in certain technological and informational advances. And we are still here in America, fighting school systems, fighting teachers, and oppressing them and saying, you can't talk about this, and banning books. We're still back there. That's where we are. Anything that one person disagrees with, we don't know how to deal with disagreement in an intellectual and an intelligent fashion. What we do is we go in and ban books, books that we don't agree with in terms of ideologically or does not reflect our religious beliefs. We go into the school systems and ban it and ban the book, and they can't look at this and they can't look at that. And, that has a deleterious effect, a damaging effect on our children. It has a damaging effect on the whole educational process, because what it says, instead of my parents being a partner with my teacher in my school, it causes a particular angst. Now these children don't necessarily know what to go to school, how to go to school to learn, or what they go to school for to learn, right? Because if I learn something that I'm not supposed to learn, do I go home and talk about it? The conversation that we used to have when I was growing up was, what did you learn in school today, right? And when you have a particular, a parental aggression against teachers and the school system, what that does is it puts that child or that young person in a particular place where they can't even, wholly discuss it, and because the perspective of what the school is teaching is different from the parental perspective. My thing is that to educate sometimes means to offend the status quo. Let me say that again. To educate is to offend, or often to offend the status quo, right? That the public school system and really even the private school system outside of Christian schools are not there to talk about, the Bible and the principles and the tenets of Scripture. That's not what they're there for. Public school systems are there to understand that there's an amalgamation. There's a different people that come from different cultures and different perspectives, and we're to educate them. We are to enlighten them on the history. We're enlightened and the reality of the present, on the current events of what's happening in the world that they will one day shape and be a part of, in charge of, right? That a public school is designed to make sure that every person's history is represented accurately. Let me say that again, that every person's history, every child's history is reflected accurately. That's what the public school education is supposed to be. It's not supposed to just represent the Smith house or the Brown house or the Johnson house or the Jones house, because we don't know what happens individually in your house. However, when children come to public school, they are supposed to learn about what happens in the global community, not just your community, the global community. And we know that the global community is expansive. The global community has a lot of people in it, right? The global community has people of different faiths, religions, colors, ethnicities. There it goes. Ethnicities and different genders and all this orientations and all that. That's the global community, right? And one of the things that's important to me is I need to know what they're teaching at school. Not to go and fuss at the teacher, not to go and ban books and strip books out, not to go and change the curriculum, but to give my child or my young person a perspective on what that means, right? How do they fall in that, and how do they align with that in terms of our faith, our believing? Yeah. And that's what happens in my house, that my home is an extension of the school, right? And so whatever my children learn, I'm, as their parent, as the adult, I'm supposed to bring articulation to it. I'm supposed to bring perspective and nuance to it, right? And not to withhold that child's knowledge base and their insight into what was taught, but to be an additional resource of clarity, an additional resource of specificity as it comes from the school. And so one of the things that, as we talk about encouraging teachers, that I think would be encouraging in our community and in the community, in the global community, and even the national community, I think would be that we provide parental and corporate support systems for teachers, right? Not to overrun them, not to guide and to or challenge curriculum as it relates to our own personal beliefs, right? Because that could go back and forth. But to provide a system of support, to provide a system of that allows us to partner and aid them with whatever they need to make sure that the educational experience is highly enhanced, is greatly empowering, right? That when our children get out of school and move from grade to grade and eventually graduate, that they will have a better footing dealing with those other students from other countries and other places in the United States, that they will have a better footing, right? That the truth of the matter is that the child that is raised and educated in a rural system it has nothing to do with whether they're smart or whether they have the capability of learning. But what happens is, because they live in a rural area, they don't have the capacity to have the access to resources that students in better districts or more urban districts have, or more affluent districts could have, right? That they are dealing with limited resources simply because of location. And when we create partnerships with the school system, as parents, as politicians, as entrepreneurs, as business owners, as those who are in creative arts in different areas, when we begin to do that, we expand the ground, right? We expand the ground of learning and education for our students. We give that teacher more resources that they can pull from, what? To better our students, to better our young people that are, again, that will one day go to the global community. I think one of the problems that we have in our community is that we don't have an expansive view of what our children can have, right? Let me tell you what I mean by that. That you've got someone living in a rural town. It's a family town. All of our family lives on Smith Hill, right? And the parents and grandparents, we have lived there forever, and great-grandparents. And so we have this great history on Smith Hill. And for us, we think that the apex for our children is to go to school, graduate, and come back to Smith Hill. And, so that we can still continue and perpetuate that kind of understanding. But the truth of the matter is that our children may want to go someplace else and establish their own life. They may want to go in another area, in another state, in another place to impact and to enlarge their territory. Our job is to make sure, here's what our job should be, is to make sure that if they don't decide to come back to Smith Hill, that Smith Hill provides a solid foundation of education and access, so that when they go to California, when they go to New York, when they go to Atlanta, when they go to Dallas, when they go to Austin or Houston and in Texas, when they go to New Orleans and establish their own life, we provided for them with that whole educational system the best tools for them to be successful for wherever they choose to go. Right? And so one of the ways when I speak to teachers and I see their frustration, one of their frustrations is, who's going to help us? We need more help, right? We're having to buy lunch. We're having to buy breakfast. We're having to buy pencils and paper. We're having to accommodate the lack of resources that a lot of students have. And my thing is, okay, why is that ever an issue when we have businesses? when we have doctors and lawyers, when we have people, alumni who have graduated from that school who are doing better now? Why does the school ever need anything when we've got people who have been impacted by that school? Why are they not giving back? And it's simply because there's not a system of giving back, right? There is not a platform provided for them to give back and to offer, different resources and say, hey, I went to the school and I'm a builder. What I will do is if I can, I'll offer an hour, 2-hour course in my free days, Tuesday and Thursday, to anyone that wants to learn how to be in construction. Right. And I'll do that as a donation of my time and attach it to the program of the school. Right. I want to give back. Right now, I understand that those things are policy oriented, but here it is. That giving back should not be bogged down in policy and politics. We should see an opportunity to offer something to our children. When I grew up, there was wood shop, there was mechanics, there was electricity. You could be trained to do that in high school, right? They called it shop classes, right? That's how a lot of our students begin to learn and be a part and have a viable life after graduation. Because guess what? Everybody is not college material. Let me say it again. And I know teachers want me to scream this. Everybody is not college material. But when you take off the arts, when you take out of technical services from school, when you take out all of the other opportunities, then we have a populace that feels like they cannot achieve, that they graduate, or they struggle with graduation because school is not providing them a niche, that the community is not coming together and saying, hey, here we got auto shop, and this kid may not be good in this area. They may not be good in English or math. They may make C's and low B's in that area, but they are excelling in, fixing automotive engine or building a carburetor or whatever that might be. The technology has changed. They excel in that area. Well, see, the school needs to be able to provide that. But if those accesses are not there in terms of curriculum, then we who are the community needs to find a way to partner with teachers in schools to say, hey, what the school will not provide, I will provide. We will give some time. We will dedicate, because guess what? It might be your child that might have the next big, automotive service community. It might be your child that builds the next house. It might be your child that comes in and fixes all of the plumbing in the community and start their business. And I don't know about you all, if y'all know it or not, but plumbers and electricians and things like that, they make a lot of money. You feel what I'm saying? So everybody's not going to be a lawyer. Everybody's not going to be a doctor. And the voices of teachers, I can remember when they started changes, they're not being heard. The band directors and the choir teachers are not being heard because they're steadily taking money away from the arts and they're putting it in other places, in STEM. And that's good. Science, technology, engineering, and math. They need to put it there. And even in some districts in the country, they've added STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, because what they're finding out is that the current educational process of students in the public sphere is not wholly educating all of its students, because it's not taking account of the child's ability to learn in different ways, right? Or different niche or different areas of skill, right? Some children are bent to be artists, right? And what teachers are saying is if we had a community collective that would support us, if we had people that would come in and dedicate their time and alleviate and give teachers some a 30-minute, an hour break while these kids go to art, they go to these other specialized classes, that would help us. Number one, it would give them a particular base of understanding, their particular areas of expertise, that their particular areas of interest. Number two, it will give the teacher at least an hour to plan, an hour to eat, an hour to rest and gather their mind, throughout the educational cycle, the day. It would give the whole the community an opportunity to join together in the educational process, right? All it would do, it will enhance the community. It will enhance the community because now the parents know the teachers well, the teachers know the parents well, the administrators know the parents and well, the parents know the administrators of schools well, and watch this, and the kid understands that the community now is showing up. Now, what would that do? That's going to deal with discipline problems as well. I'm telling you, discipline will change. If they know that mom and dad is going to show up at school for about an hour to help on that, or on their day off or whatever, if they know that the community is rallying to put this on for them, it's going to change behavior. Because one thing about children and youth is that they do not like to be left out. So now guidelines can say, well, if you don't have this and you don't do this and you don't maintain this kind of behavior, then you cannot participate in this kind of program. What we will see is the whole disciplinary situation kind of take care of itself. Now, there will always be outliers because there's at that age, in those ages, there are always going to be children that try the system. Do you hear me? It's going to be children that really try it. In other words, you're going to have to leave some folk out just to prove to the fact that we mean what we say as not just a school, but as the community who is supporting the school. We mean what we say. We're going to do our best to help teachers advance all of the students who have that desire, who have cultivated something and who are willing to be leaders in the future. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for the creation and the cultivation of leaders in the future. And if you're not willing to behave, if you're not willing to come up at least to the minimum benchmark to participate in these other programs, then you're going to be left behind. And I'm telling you, that's going to fix a whole lot of the disciplinary issues right now. See, right now, a lot of the kids don't have their particular interest in school. There's reading, writing, and math, and then you get to advanced math, advanced English, and you get to all these other things because they're preparing them for a global community that is that's technological. They're preparing them for Google, they're preparing them for all of that. But what you're leaving out, these people who are the base of the community growth, community wealth, and community forward movement and empowerment, right? You're leaving out your mechanics. Right? You're leaving out your electricians. You're leaving out your plumbers. You're leaving out all of that, right? Because we wiped them out of school because somebody, I don't know who the body is, but somebody says we need to leave them out. But I'm telling you, when the plumber comes to my house and I see that bill, and, one plumber came to my house and said, you know what, I'm not going to even charge you what I charge to do this. I'm going to tell you, all you need to go is to Walmart and do this, look on YouTube, and you can do this yourself. I mean, because the labor price by itself, not just the part, but the labor, what they charge for labor I was like, y'all make that kind of money. Let me go to plumbing school, figure out what I can do to be a part of that, to get that kind of guilt if that's what you're doing. And so I'm telling you, but the only way that can happen is that we as a community have to get back and help teachers, to listen to teachers, to find out what they need, and to let them know that not only that we are a partner and a supporter, but we are also people who are holding you accountable to primarily teaching our students, right? That we believe that if we partner with you, that yes, we're providing you with resources, but you're also providing us with results. Try it again. That the community will provide teachers with resources, and we can hold teachers accountable to provide us with results. Why? Because what they can no longer say is they have a disengaged, disempowered, disconnected community, right? That they have parents and leaders within the context of this whole community corporate system that supports, that pushes, that comes to the aid of the classroom when it is needed. That's how I was raised. That's how I think we need to bring that back. I know that times change and advances come. I understand all of that. However, there has to be a community system again to support our teachers that's well known by the schools and our community. Our faces should be well known, and they should know that we are on their side to support them as they educate our students. Listen, that's been our centering moment right here on the Culture Call with L. Spencer Smith on Praise 93.3 FM. I'm telling you, we're going to have a great day as we talk about community support for teachers and educators. That's right, that we do it better. Definitely when we do it together. We got so much more to come. Get you something to eat and be right back. Yeah, don't miss it.
This is the world premiere.
And we are back right here on the Culture Call. We are here, I'm telling you, in this great day. We are here, just encouraging teachers. I'm just so excited about all of our teachers in this new school year. Yeah, it's time to get excited. Yeah, we've had a wonderful summer. And, we normally encourage the students. Do their best, stay focused, and yeah, that's what we do. We do all of that, and we make sure that the students have new clothes and all those things. And I started thinking about who is encouraging these teachers. I mean, they need a break too, and some of them had to go through seminars, educational seminars this year, and all of those different kinds of things. And I'm sure that that they're not as excited as they should be because of all of the changes in education in the country and in the state and even in our local municipality. I'm sure they're not excited about it. But I wanted to take this moment to tell these teachers, if you're listening to me today, and I know that you are the key to the future, that what you do on a daily basis helps our community in so many profound ways. To me, here at the Culture Call, all of our teachers are teachers of the year, teachers of the century, because as I say all of the time that we laud and applaud the brain surgeon and the lawyers and the doctors and these high achieving people in society, but none of them could have gotten there if it wasn't for the teachers. And so, yes, these couple of days, I wanted to give an amazing shout out to these awesome, phenomenal, fantastic teachers who do it day in and day out with without any kind of retreat and backing up. They go full speed ahead because they believe in the children. They believe that each and every child has the capability and the capacity to learn. If they don't, then they don't need to be in the classroom. You feel what I'm saying? But here is the deal, that they need encouragement too. Yes, teacher needs encouragement too. I at the end of the year, before the summer started, I saw on social media a lot of teachers making these memes and these videos like, yeah, now we sending your kids back to you. Yeah, we're sending these post-pandemic babies back to your house, and let's see how you fare. Let's see what you do, right? And it was funny because they were like, you could see the exhaustion in their face and the excitement that they didn't have to deal with the kids for at least 3 months. And that's all well and good, but the truth is that indeed we do need to encourage our teachers. So yes, shout out to you. We're talking about building, community support for our educators, community corporate collectives that help our teachers and our administrators do the very best and provide additional resources to educate our children. That when our teachers are amply supplied with all of the tools that they need to educate our children, it makes their job easier. It causes our children to have better outcomes, and it elevates not just the school district, but it elevates that community. When the entire community sees that school as a treasure trove, that they see that school in their neighborhood and their surrounding areas as the future, or as that place that holds the future, shall I say, that will educate our tomorrow. And when the entire community sees that school, and we don't follow what it seems like is going on in this country, following, where everybody's offended at the teacher, at the educator, at the school system, because we're trying to turn everything. There's an ilk that's trying to turn everything into the church or into a bar. And no, that's not what school is. School needs to stand on the outside. The educational process needs to stand on the outside, right? I don't believe our school needs a preacher to go preach to the kids. Neither do I think that our school needs a striptease artist to go in and read books to the kids in the name of equality. I don't think that. I think education in the school system should stand outside and tell the children and really inform them, that all or both of these are part of the world in which you live, and educate them in those particular areas, in those particular nuances. And then, good teachers don't tell you, what to think. They give you the opportunity to know how to think, right? Good teachers do not tell you what to think. They give you the opportunity to exercise how to think. And that is important. That's what true education is. It's formulating the minds. It is causing that child to gain the awareness, to become conscious, to function in a level of consciousness, and then gain and heighten awareness of conscientiousness, where they begin to view their fellow man and their fellow students and their friendships, that they begin to develop relationships with the world around them, and then they begin to have the ability to adjudicate in their own thinking, with their own minds, right? And I think the fear is that, we want to control this so that my child can think like me. And that's the fear that has been put into parents. That that there is a system, these teachers and this school system is not going to, is teaching your child what to think. No, they're not. The world is interesting. The world is hard. The world is harsh and it's diverse, and our children need to understand that that's exactly what the world is. It's diverse, and when you don't make room for that diversification, you severely limit that child and what they can and or cannot do in the world, right? That our children are not just going to be in Tuscaloosa for the rest of their life. They talk to them. They have ideas that they're going to move out the city. They want to do great things. They want to do big things. And they should not be limited because we are fearful that they might see the world in a different way that we see it. That's our job is not to teach them what to think. Our job is to expand them so that they will know how to think. As a teacher, I want you to know how to think, how to process this information that's coming to you, because you have to see it a certain way to benefit because it's impacting you. It's not impacting me. So I have to teach in a way that causes them that when they get in a situation that's not where I am, whether I'm a parent or a teacher, they've got to use their own mind. And again, as I say, teachers are currently under attack because there is a whole sector in society that feels like teachers are usurping the authority of parents and teaching kids what to think. No, that's not what's happening. First of all, as parents, you have a responsibility to train your children up in the way this should go. Now, if you don't trust the school system, homeschooling is always an option. Let me say it again. That if you don't trust the public school system and you don't have the money to send them to quote unquote private school and or Christian school, then guess what? Homeschooling is a viable option. But of course, homeschooling is exactly what it says it is, homeschooling, right? That makes you responsible for the educational process of your children. And that's all well and good, right? But still, you shouldn't limit the child in teaching them what to think in terms of just everything in their life. You should also be teaching them how to think. And so, what I want to expose us to today in our conversation is that we need to begin to lead and to move forward in building community collaborations with teachers and schools and our schools in our neighborhood and administrators to say, hey, we are a part of this community. This is not just some place where we send our children that's disconnected from our home. No, I'm sending my child to this school as an extension of my home. Now, that doesn't mean that everything that I teach in my home, that the school system is responsible to teach them. That's important because I think one of the problems that we're having is that there's a particular group in this country that wants the school system to teach what you teach at home, right? If you're teaching at home Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, that's not the school's priority. That they will teach the Bible as a piece of literature, a book. The word Bible literally means book, right? They may teach it maybe as in history, the Bible is viewed as a sacred book, and there are Christians in this country that deem this book to be holy and sacred. Yes, but their job is not to give theological education, neither ideological education. Their job is to talk about the historical presence of that book. And I think one of the problems that we're having in this country is teachers are finding it so very difficult to do their job because there are parents on both sides of the political and sociological perspective that want the teacher and the school to reflect their own home. That's not what public education does. That's not what teachers do. Me personally, I do not want teachers teaching my students how to pray. People like, we need prayer in school. Push pause. Who's doing the praying? And then what God are we praying to? See, the assumption there is that everybody in the school is Judeo-Christian. And then even in that framework of Judeo-Christianity, you think everybody is Baptist like you. You think everybody is Methodist like you. You think everybody is Pentecostal or whatever like you, right? And so here it is. You get to praying, folks, and you believe in, in a religious context, you believe in Jesus only. And here it goes. This person is praying in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Ghost. Now that's a Trinitarian perspective, but they're praying. But now you got your prayer in school, but now there's still a problem because now you're going to be mad because they're praying Trinitarian when you're oneness. See, so that's not what public education does. Public education can give a moment of silence and for each student to meditate in their own way. Public school can give that opportunity to happen, right? And that honors everyone, even if their religion is worshiping a tree, that moment of silence and giving that child a particular perspective to do what you have taught them to do in your house is right. Public education can definitely do that. But somebody leading in prayer every day, you have people who have come to this country from all across the world, and they are Muslim, they are Hindu, and there are various other religions. And so how are you going to do that? See, that's why it's important to understand the community, your community role as parents, your community role as a teacher, your community role as administrator, and putting it all together and making sure that the children have an expansive educational experience. Currently, again, that's not what's happening in this country because there are people that want the school to be their home, and that's not what it is designed to do. See, if you're white supremacist racist in your home, or if you're black nationalistic in your home, and those two are not equal opposites, by the way, but nonetheless, if you have a particular ethnic or racial perspective in your home, the school is not there to reflect that. The school is not there to promulgate that. The school is not there to enhance that. The school is there to make sure that child understands the history of this country and the differences of those two. The history of the violence of that which white supremacy and racism has done in this country from its founding. Right, and it has the right to talk about, the infusion of the Black Panther movement and all of these other Pan-African movements and all these other things. They have the school is there to expose children to the information of history of the country. Right, you have to understand what education is designed to do and what education is not designed to do. Now, Elle, help me. How in the world does that help the teacher? Oh, it helps the teacher greatly. I'm glad that you asked, because the way that it helps the teacher is it takes that pressure off of them to know that they're not going to have somebody picketing them or having superfluous conferences talking about, why did you teach my child this? We don't teach that in my house. Well, that's fine. That is fine. Right? I went to school, especially when they get to college, they taught many things that my parents did not teach me. They taught me things that seem antagonistic to what my faith was at the time. But the professor was teaching that. He put it on a test. I'm going to say what he said so I can get the A and leave my faith intact in me. right? Because, my parents taught me something that I believe, right? And so going to school and going to college just showed me that there were people who had different perspectives. And that's how you aid the teacher. You don't shackle the teacher. No, you want the teacher to continue to teach the full parameter of what there is to offer, what the world has to offer, what the world has provided, what the world has been through in terms of history, sociological development, cultural development. You want them to teach it all, right? And then when they come home, you partner with them, right? You partner with the school and say, okay, well, here is what we in this family believe, right? And one of the things that my mother taught me is you give on this paper, you put down what the professor teaches you. You put down what the teacher teaches you. Because they're not teaching you the doctrine of our church. That's not their responsibility. They're teaching you this X, Y, Z, right? And so don't go in that classroom and try to be Reverend this and brother that and sister that. And, you Sister Ike in the church, you sending your child as Sister Ike. And, that now. And then they get in and they can't even relate to the educational process because they're so busy trying to uphold your ideological pattern and principle at school, right? So one of the best ways that we can definitely partner with school systems is to let the teacher teach and we come as a supplement of support. Yes. Mom, my teacher taught me that X, Y, Z and these different kinds of people. You're right. Your teacher is absolutely correct. There are different kinds of people. There are various religions. In our house, we are Christian. In our house, we are Jewish. In our house, we are Islam or Muslim. We follow the Islamic faith. Yeah, that's how we do that. But yes, there are many different, and that's how you partner. And then if there is something that you can do, maybe you can go and talk to that teacher and that administration and say, hey, we would like to do this as a reflection of the differences in the world in terms of religion or in terms of belief or in terms of that, wherever differences may occur. You don't go there to try to silence them. You go there to be a part of the conversation and to help craft and say, well, here's an example of this and give the students how to think, not what to think, right? And when you begin to do that, it frees the teacher up. I'm telling you, it relieves a whole lot of stress because they're not having to fight a community, fight a particular ideology simply to teach our children, that they have found partnership in teaching our children, and they find that in the community collective. They're not worried about, funding being taken away from them. They're not worried about, any other kind of thing being taken away from them with regards to, other faiths, other cultural beliefs, other areas of learning. They shouldn't have to fear having to teach all of that and you coming in and taking them to the board and trying to get them fired, because they're doing something that does not agree with your own belief. In order to be a part of the community, we have to be a part of the community. Let me say it again, because it sounds like I said the same thing. No, in order to be a part of the community, we have to be a part of the community and know that we are just a part of the community. And our perspective is not the only perspective in the community. That's what I want us to understand on the culture call. Believe what you believe in your house, but partner with that school and give them the opportunity to teach. Give the teachers an opportunity to be free to educate your student and your child so that your child can be the best that they need to be in this world. Listen, this is the Culture Call with L. Spencer Smith on Praise 93.3 right here. I need you to hit me up on the app or give me a call. That's right. I need you to keep it locked right here. We've got some more things to do, and we'll be right back. Don't miss it.
This is the world premiere.
And we are back right here on the Culture Call with L. Spencer Smith right here on Praise 93.3 FM. It's 11 o'clock and some change right here. I'm telling you, and we are having an amazing day this morning. Absolutely. I hope you're having a very, very wonderful day, a blessed day indeed. Absolutely. And that you are up and at 'em already Yeah, it's 11 o'clock. You should be up and at 'em and ready to handle this day, man. I'm telling you, so many great things are going on. And again, we have been having a wonderful morning, giving our encouraging shout outs to all of our teachers and our administrators, those who make it work and get it done in our school systems daily, so that our children can be the best that they can be. We send a specific shout out to you, most definitely, to all of the teachers who labor and all of the administrators, the principals, and all of the support staff there in our school system in Tuscaloosa, in the surrounding areas, Aliceville, Greene County, Hale County. I don't want to get into calling the counties because I don't think I know all of my counties, but nonetheless, if you are a teacher, an educator, an administrator, I'm talking to you from a heartfelt appreciation from the Culture Call. Absolutely. Listen, part of what we're talking about today is building cooperative support for teachers and educators in our school systems so that we can provide additional resources for teachers who might be struggling right now in this particular economic climate, in this particular societal and cultural climate, that we will come as a collective community to let them know that they have our unwavering support, and whatever we need to do to help them, we stand up ready to do that. That's what we want to do. You know, this segment, I definitely want to give us some solutions to this whole building. How do we build? You know, somebody hit me up on the chat and said, how do we build this cooperative community? Because I want to be a part of it. And man, first of all, I appreciate you wanting to be a part of that community support system and community, what I'm calling the community support collaborative for advancing education. How did that sound? Isn't that a good name? That's right. How can we be a part of this collective community support system to advance education, helping teachers and administrators? Well, I think that, you know, one of the good things, and it should have been done already, but it's never too late, is that we have to definitely have some kind of pointing and some kind of leadership and some partnership direction to where we can begin. The first one of those is identify common goals, right? That the community and the school system, the teachers, should identify shared goals and objectives for education. That's the first thing, that if we're going to build partnerships, we got to make sure that we identify what unites us. What is the glue for this particular collaboration? What is the glue for this particular partnership, right? That when we begin to identify common goals, what it does, it lets us know that all of us have a right to be in the room of support, that there is not an enemy or someone that is trying to be an antagonist to what we are trying to accomplish. Number one, the common goal should, first of all, be the advancement, the educational advancement of our children. Number two, it should be to provide support, the necessary support to the teachers as they begin to educate our students, right? And so that's very important. You know, and so we could have different, you know, common goals, because not different common goals, but identify those common goals and begin to set up particular core values and target areas that we want to see happen. You know, it could include improving student achievement, you know, enhancing teaching methods, addressing another specific educational challenge, developing cultural sensitivity and diversity. Those are the things that we can come together and begin to identify common goals. Now, let me say this as a sidebar as we go through this. It doesn't mean that one support team can do it all. There can be multi-level support teams. There can be a support team for the school that's culturally reflective and you know, geared to the cultural enhancement. And there could be another one that's geared to testing enhancement. It could be another one that's dealing with, you know, resource in terms of supplies enhancement. It can be all of those things. You know, there can be subgroups as we begin to identify common goals. But I think these partnerships begin with, first of all, saying, what do we have in common and why we are here? Here's another one. Number two. It's to establish open lines of communication. That as we build these community collaboratives that support teachers and administrators, right? As we build that, we have to establish open lines of communication. It must be regular, it must be consistent, and it must not be covert. Everything needs to be up on the table and be honest between the community and the teachers and the administrators, right? That yes, in this case, the left hand does need to allow the right hand to know what it is doing, right? And this can be done via, emails, between, meetings and forums, online platforms that, if you can't make it to a physical building, you can have a Zoom, that we begin to discuss and organize, and all of the partners and parties there begin to share ideas, resources and provide feedback, because feedback is going to be necessary as we begin to build and provide these community collectives. I don't think that we can do this without us understanding that, yes, all of us have a particular level of responsibility to what we have in common, right? And the only way that we can do that is not to assume each other's part, but there has to be prime discussion, that everybody has to be to the table and everybody has to have their voice heard in order for it to be impactful, right? All right, here's the number 3. The first one was identify common goals. The second one was establish open lines of communication. Here's number 3. Number 3 is we must offer resources and support. The community can provide teachers with resources, materials, and all of the necessary support to enhance their teaching practices. And we talked about that, especially those teachers that live in areas that may be struggling in terms of the school budget. They may not have particular accesses in terms of broadband, wireless communication. I know that the infrastructure bill that was set forth by the government was supposed to go into rural areas and make sure that all of that technology is available. So no matter where you live, you can have access to the World Wide Web. All of that is important. All of those things are important, right? And so once we provide them with all of the resources that they need, that we can expect them to teach the children on another level, right? That means, access to technology, funding for professional development, because there's PD all around the country during the summer, all around in the year, and teachers need to be advanced. And if Google is having something for teachers and our children need, our teachers need, something, but the school system doesn't have it. Well, when we have these collaborative community support, we can raise the funds. We can donate the funds to send the technology teachers who will come back, who will go there, learn coding, learn all of the necessities to bring back to our children, right? And that alleviates any kind of, heaviness on the school budget. That will send teachers to get exposed into professional development so that they can enhance their practices. They can begin to build fellowships and collaborations with teachers all across the country. And when they return to our school system, it elevates the aspect of what we have to offer our schools, or our children rather, and even our community, right? It begins to elevate that. And so we have to offer resources and support and say, hey, where do you want to train this year? Do you want to go out to Silicon Valley? Do you want to go to the arts event in Austin, right? Do you want to go to where they're designing things in Miami, and you can bring that back and have a specialized course for students who are interested in designing and computer design and fashion design. See, when you partner with it, you expand resources. So definitely we must offer the resources and support that wherever that school system does not have the budget to offer professional development for our teachers, when we make up that gap, when we fill in that gap, then we can hold our teachers accountable to returning and providing something better for our children. Here is number 4. We have to engage in joint projects and initiatives, right? That the school should not be just doing their own thing without some community support. Let me say it again, that the school shouldn't be doing anything without some kind of community support. That means that collaborative projects and initiatives, can be utilized to strengthen partnerships between community and leaders and the teachers, right? That we can have a picnic together. We can have, with the school, our community and the West Side High School is doing XYZ. or we can have, the Inglewood community, and I'm making up all these communities, and, the Bridgeside Elementary School are having a bake sale, right? When the community begins to show that they are an active partner, not just a few parents sprinkling, but I'm talking about the community engages wholly with supporting that school in a project, and there is collaboration. I told you already that it begins to cause an understanding. First of all, it begins to shape a different picture in the mind of our students and our children about what is important to our community. What is important? That the school is not just some place where we send them from the hours of 8 to 3 and say, hopefully the teacher will teach something that will be useful. No, that the student understands when they see community involvement that all of the community expects me to excel. All of the community expects me to be my best. All of the community is here to protect me and to promote me and encourage me on my journey of educational success and access, right? All of the community, right? Mr. Bob down the street, Miss Emma from across the field, and, the businesses, all of the owners of mom and pop stores are here in the community to help foster this whole idea of joint projects. Yeah, they were at the community carnival sponsored by the school and all of the local businessmen in our community. And we are raising funds for, a new library. We are raising funds for a new stadium. We are raising funds so that our football players or our band can have new uniforms. And the community and the school partnered together to do that. Right, exactly. It's not we're sending them and that's the school's priority and that's the school's responsibility. Because I'm going to tell you right now, as a former teacher, listen, that school district is not there. No, they invite and they encourage and they love when the community comes to support, because they understand that they're dealing with a limited amount of resources, especially in urban and rural schools that mainly affect the Black community, right? And so our greatest resource is our community. The greatest resource of urban and or rural schools is the communities in which they serve. And that's one of the things that we've got to wrap around our minds, that, yeah, our schools need our community, and what we found out is when I was growing up and the band needed new uniforms, the community got together and they sold certain things. They had certain programs in conjunction with our high school. The parents and the community joined together so that we could have new band uniforms. Yeah, that's what they did. And we got it done. And by the time the district knew that we had new uniforms, we had probably marched 4 or 5 times before they even recognized that our school uniforms had changed, right? And it could, because the parents understood that if our school, I went to a place called Cross High School. It was a rural school in a place called Cross, South Carolina. But what the parents understood was that if we don't help our school, in this rural community, predominantly Black, then our children are not going to be on equal footing when they get out in the world. They were not in the classroom trying to tell the teacher what to teach and how to teach and all that. They were partners with the teacher. They were partners with the school to make it happen. You feel what I'm saying? So that's very, very important that we understand that when we begin to do that, when we begin to show that kind of collectiveness, then it will change the whole idea of the children. And watch this. It will also get the attention of the school district, which is who you really want to go talk to. You really want to have an inroad to the school districts and have an ear down there. Those parents at Cross High, listen, that community down there, they're supporting their school. We better find out what's happening. We better get on or we won't have a job. See, that's the kind of conversations you want to be had with creating these collective collaborations to support our teachers and our schools and our educators, right? And our administrators. That's the conversation you want to have, right? My uncle was a superintendent in our area. And in conversations, while I was ear hustling, you would hear how the district was paying attention to particular schools who had thriving communities. You will be surprised at how the discussions of how they could make those schools better were were tailored and targeted because they knew that if that school didn't have what they needed, didn't have the best of what they needed, they didn't just have a school to deal with. They didn't just have teachers to deal with. They didn't just have principals to deal with, that they had parents in an entire community to come to be at the board meeting asking, why are you all neglecting our schools in our community and not giving them what they need and what they want to make things happen. So that's very, very important. Listen. And so here it is. Number 5. Yeah. Number 5 is that we can support the professional growth of teachers by offering workshops, seminars, and training sessions. I cannot stress enough how much additional and supplemental professional development for teachers really supports them. Let me say that again. I'm not talking about the teachers meeting with the principal after school. I'm not talking about the PTA meeting after school. But as I said before, there are professional development things that are going on and training sessions going on all across the country. And depending on the funding of the schools, that these teachers may or may not be able to go. But yes, when we as a community find out, even during the summer months, okay, the science department, tell us we need you all to pick out 2 workshops and training seminars that you all want to go to, after in the fall semester. And they share that. And the community begins to rally and work with the school to send those teachers. Okay, history, you pick out 2. And math, you pick out 2. And technology, you pick out 2. Until we get all of the additional, certifications and all the additional developments that they need. Now, who is that going to benefit? You got it. Our children. And what does that do? It goes back to us identifying what our common goals are, right? That's what we need to do, right? We definitely need to make sure that as we incorporate all these things, and I will put this on the Culture Call page so that you can see how we develop this kind of system, how we develop this kind of thing so that we can be an access, a resource access to our children, to our teachers rather, at our schools, because it's only going to make our children better. It is only going to make our children better. Don't you believe it, Coach Cole? I know I do, right? Okay, so listen, here's another one. We also, as a community, need to recognize and celebrate achievements, right? And so what does that look like? Elle, what does that look like? How can we do that? Okay, glad that you asked. And so, we have 5 students that passed the ACT the first time with high scores, right? That's not just a school celebration. That's a community celebration, right? Or a teacher has been recognized in the county one of our teachers has been recognized in the county for being a top achiever in their particular area of focus. That's not just a school celebration. That's a community celebration that we all come together and we celebrate, we honor. We can provide those children with a particular achievement banquet or an achievement luncheon with the principal and their teacher. We can do that, or we can do a big banquet for that teacher who has been recognized in the area. Yes, we can do that. We can recognize them on a Sunday morning church service, that we can invite them, and then we can tell everybody that, these 4 students have achieved this and they're well on their way to, the next thing the only thing they got to do now is apply to colleges, because these colleges are going to be looking for because of this high ACT score. That's not just the prerogative of the school. It's the prerogative of the community, right? And so what we do is that we take all of their achievements and all of their celebrations, and we take it to the next level, right? We give flowers, we give awards, we do public recognitions, right? And we highlight success stories. That's right. In church, in our organizations, in our fraternities, in our sororities, we let the entire community know that we have these amazing folks among us. These children were able to achieve, yes, great things, but here is their teacher as well. And here is the school that provided this for them. And this teacher has been able to do this in XYZ and being such an asset to our community. That's how we begin to, again, build these community collaboratives that help and assist teachers and administrators elevate our schools. And once we elevate our schools, it puts us at a different footing in the district, in our state. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Here's another one. Number 7. And I'm going to recap them. Okay? So don't worry about it. I missed something. I don't want you to miss not one thing. I want you to hear it all, right? Here's number 7. Seek input and feedback. There's got to be a way that we have community feedback meetings with our school. That, whenever something is going on wrong, we try to rally and have meetings at the school, and all this turns into a temper tantrum and a fussing, and all of that. It becomes very vitriolic. It becomes, very oppositional, parents against the schools. And how could it? No. We also need to have meetings and feedback when things go well. We need to figure out how can we do better for our children, right? That if it's a smart principal, a wise teacher, wise administration at the school, at the end or before the end of every school year, they need to call out the parents, bring the parents together and say, hey, we want to have a projection meeting. First of all, we want to hear from you. How do you feel like we educated your children this year? Did you see that? How did we do? Give us a grade, right? Tell us what we did well. Tell us what we need to work on. Tell us what you would like to see and give us something to work on in the summer. I know that, and I hear you, that, yeah, but the district said we got to work on testing and all that. Yeah, but you will be surprised exactly how you can incorporate all of this going on in a community setting. See, because the community will begin to defend the school, the teacher, the principal, right? See, when you get the community on your side, the community will show up, you see. And so when you begin to ask them their feedback, now what is the value in that? What is the value? Let me tell you that whenever you make room for the voice of the community, right, they take ownership. That's what you want them to do. They take ownership in the entire educational process. And that's what you want the community to do. Or at least a wise administrator, at least a wise teacher. Right? You want the community to take ownership of Central High. You want the community to take ownership of Berkeley High. You want to take, Berkeley Elementary. You want the entire school, the entire community to take, ownership of Cane Hoy Middle School. You want them in the process. You want them in the process of being able to speak up for you at the district meeting when they're getting ready to allocate funds or talking about the reallocation of funds. Right? You get a community to come out. Right? That's very, very important. But that can only happen when you allow room for the community voice in partnership. Right? That it's not just in this kind of system, it's not just what the community can do for the school, but it's also the school using specific strategies and techniques of how it can partner with the parents, partner with the community, partner with the churches, partner with the good reverends. Absolutely. Right? That yes, our church has actively adopted this school in our community. Not just this is just a school in our community, and and the community is a little bit separate. It's just where we send. No. We've adopted the school. So we have a very vested interest on what happens, in Andrew Young Junior High School, right? So we have that kind of responsibility. We have that what's going on in Martin Luther King Elementary, the whole community, that we take ownership of that. That's right. We support our teachers and we support our principal, right? But you can never do that. That can never happen if there is not a time where you seek community input and feedback, right? That is very important. Very, very important. Here's another one. You have to advocate for education. And that's what I was just talking about, right? That you can advocate for education and supporting school policies, watch this, that the community helps shape as well. There was a district in, I believe it's Louisiana, where they were experiencing high school violence and thuggery, and people had different access to schools. Students weren't going to class. and they was performing low. And so in the community, some dads got together, fathers, and I cannot remember what that school, that organization that they formulated from the community of fathers. And the fathers got together, and guess what they did? They walked the school every day. They walked the halls. They greeted the kids when they came in, right? That's what they did. They showed their presence. That the principal did not have to stop doing his job. The teacher did not have to stop doing his job. That the fathers, the dads in that group, were policing the hall. They didn't want any kind of police presence in school. None. They said the dads, who are these kids' parents, will police our own school. They broke up the fights. They made sure that the kids in the halls did not tarry there, right? That's what I'm talking about, advocacy for education. That's what I'm talking about. Those dads made sure that those children were on task, right? No gang-related activity, no thuggery from the outside of the fences of the school, because they won't have to encounter the dads. Absolutely. Because the dad says, these are our children, and in order for them to get an education, there's got to be some level of advocacy for safe space, security that does not infringe, or security that does not understand the community and understand the particular nuances of our young people, that doesn't know the language of our young boys and get easily intimidated, which is why they did not want law enforcement there. No, we will police our own school. See, that's what happens when community begins to advocate for safe school spaces in education. That's what happens when the community partners with the teachers and the principal. That's what happens, y'all. That's what goes on when we take responsibility as a corporate community to build every school in our area. So let me start over. Number one, we've got to identify common goals. Yes, we have to understand what the interest of the whole collaboration and partnership is. Number two, we have to establish open lines of communication, regular and open and honest and overt. We all need to know what's happening, right? We can do that through resources, newsletters, emails. Yeah, that's what we want. Number three, offer resources and support that where we can, we provide for them. Number four, engage in joint projects and initiatives. Yeah, that's what we can do. We need to make sure that we are not just letting the school do this thing by itself, but the whole community. It's a community effort, right? Number five, foster professional development opportunities for teachers so that they can get the best, have the best, and be prepared to share the best with our students. Number six, recognize and celebrate achievements that, yes, we can take some time out and have banquets, recognize them in church, do all of that, because when we applaud and we respect and honor, it makes them achieve even more. Number seven, seek feedback and input. Bring the community together. Talk about this year's successes. Talk about the semester's achievements and failures and where we need to work, and give them ownership into the process, right? And number eight, advocate for education, that we allow the community to be a part of the education process and push it, not just in the district, but push it throughout the areas that need help, right? And when we do that, we're well on the way to developing strong community collaborative partnerships that will enhance our schools, our teachers, and our administrators. Yeah, let me hear from you. Yeah, this is the Culture Call with L. Spencer Smith right here on Praise 93.3. Got so much more. Keep it locked right here. Don't miss it.
This is the world premiere.
And we are back right here on the Culture Call with L. Spencer Smith on Praise 93.3 FM. That's right. You're hearing us from all around the world. That's right. You're hearing us wherever you are, and I am super excited about it. Listen, there's some of you that's been calling me, but I'm having a little issue with his phone lines. Yeah. So don't worry about it. It's me. It's not you. It's not you. I've just got to press the right button. Nonetheless, guess what, y'all? I am super excited about you talking to me on this chat, telling me you hit it right on the head. Listen, Thank you. I try to make sure that I hit it on the head. And I really, really believe that at the beginning of the school year, if we would consider and think about creating collaborative collectives for our teachers and partnerships with the community, making sure that we provide them with everything that we need, that they need, then we will find out that the outcomes of our schools will become much better, much better. Some of you reminded me to make sure you put that on the page. I will. I'm going to do a good label and have them put it on the page so that you can have access. Make sure that you're following me on Facebook and on social media on the Culture Call page. I need you to do that because that's how you're going to access it. And of course, it'll be on my personal page as well, but I want you to be a part of the Culture Call page because I just think it's important for you to follow me over there. So yeah, we're going to put all of that I just talked about, those 8 points that I think are very important as we seek to build and to create effective community collaborations and partnerships with schools, our teachers, and our administrators. I think that's very important. That, again, we do it better when we do it together. And the whole objective is to create a force that cannot be ignored, that cannot be ignored. That we want to create a community force that when we go into district offices all around the country, when we go before people who are making decisions in curriculum, that our teachers and our schools have their support, right? And again, and I cannot state this and stress this enough, that the school is supposed to be an extension of your house, but your home is not supposed to override the educational process, right? That school is a global training center, right? And that means that they're assigned to give varying perspectives of what's going on in the world, right? And so that means that there are going to be times when the school teaches things that are not in alignment with your own personal or your family perspective. And that's something that's very important. You know, one of the things, especially in Florida, teachers are being attacked because there's a parent that came and said that her child felt bad because they were talking about slavery, you know, or the systemic racism and slavery, and her child felt bad, you know, because, you know, her color, I want to say that her race was on at that time, the wrong side of the conversation, and they inflicted so much pain. So this parent had an issue. And then, of course, once this parent had an issue, instead of partnering with the teacher and partnering with the school, you know, I want my child to feel bad. I don't want my child to feel hurt. And, you know, I don't want my child to hear all this quote unquote woke stuff. I don't need that, my child. And of course, that created a groundswell. And now you've got people have devised a curriculum in Florida that, supported by its governor, that is not even the truest context of historical perspective. I mean, not even in the ballpark, right? And see, what happens is that parent does not care, that political system does not care how it disenfranchises, number one, that teacher who has to teach a lie, right? It weakens the potency of the educational prospect of that particular school and the school systems in Florida, but they could care less how it makes black and brown folk feel. That they could care less. They're trying to make themselves look good in history at the expense of causing others to look bad, or to make it seem like there is an exaggeration of the tremendously violent, vitriolic aspect of systemic racism and supremacy in this country. And that only defeats the perspective, or that only defeats the child when they get out into the world and find out that that's not the truth. Or two, it only sets that child up to be a part of their ideological cult that sees the world with respect to what makes them grand, right? That sees it as this great country pristine with no problems. They founded a country and all of these different kinds of things. It's supporting a particular narrative that is not true. And so those teachers and those educational systems, in Florida, where I used to be a teacher, back in the early 90s, I used to be a teacher there, and it wasn't like that. But that's what happens when politics and parents try to make the school a representation or reflection of their individual ideologies. That is not what school is supposed to do. That's not what education is supposed to do. And nonetheless, here we are, right? And so what I think is very important for us to do before it takes root all over the country, right? Here in Alabama, in Georgia, in Louisiana, in Mississippi, that there is, you've got to see that when you do not partner with the school and you try to allow political and parental ideological perspectives to adjudicate and to come in and run roughshod over our teachers and not support them in the what they do on the daily, when you don't allow that to happen, nobody's hurt but the children. Because history is not going to change because your child is upset. History is not going to change because your child doesn't learn the right information. History is not going to change when there is documentation of what happened. The people didn't make it up, you see? And so, that's happening in the country right now, today, as we live and breathe. August 2nd, 2023. That's happening right now. So when we begin to talk about that, when we begin to have that as a framework of understanding that our job is to support the school system. Now, again, I'm not talking about them teaching anything from anybody's ideological perspectives, any teacher's ideological perspective. I don't think that should happen in schools either. So that's, that doesn't, two wrongs don't make a right. Absolutely not. So I don't believe that. I believe that you teach the book, give perspective. It teach the children how to think, not what to think. Give them an opportunity to make perception and perceive, and each school also, let me say this, each school also has a responsibility to be reflective of the nuances of said community. Yeah. And see, the thing is, we live on certain levels of community. We live in certain levels of community, right? That some communities are conservative. Some communities are liberal, right? Some communities are white. Some communities are black. Some communities are Hispanic. And, and I think that is part of both the brilliance and the difficulty of living in Americana. I think that we have been left something by the architects of this country. We've been left something that we have to every day fight for, every day defend. And again, it's not the teacher's fault because that doesn't go on. It's not the teacher's fault because, or better yet, that there's a plethora of history and information that's always being provided. That parents will fight the school system and fight the teacher and administrators, the principals and things, harder than they will Nintendo, Xbox, PlayStation, harder than they will Meta, Facebook, Twitter, or X, whatever it is now, Instagram, TikTok. That they will fight the school system more than really the teachers that's sitting up in our children's hand that we provide for them, that we pay the bill, right? A TikTok that we know that the designers and the originators of TikToks don't even allow their own children to be exposed to it, but they export it to our children. And see, we won't even fight that. There are several states that are seeking to ban TikTok and things of that nature because they're giving our children information. But again, they don't teach their own children. See, if you want to fight, if you're looking for a fight, then go there. Start right there. But not the teacher, not Miss Sally, not Miss. Don't fight. Mr. Bill. They're teaching your children math the best way they know how. They're teaching your children English. They're teaching your children history the best way that they can, right? And your job is to say, hey, you know what? There was a time when that did happen. Yeah, that there were some very evil things. And yes, those people did look like us who committed this evil. Yeah. But so we're changing. Every day we have to educate ourselves so we don't go back there and that we can see each other as equals. You see what I did right there? You see what I did? Culture call. Y'all saw that? Y'all heard that? See, that's how it should go. Yes. No, I'm not denying all of these things. Yes, and it was horrendous. Yes, it was. And Daddy does not agree with that. Our great granddaddies might have done some things. Yes, they did. And I'm not proud of it. So because I'm not proud of it, I'm sending you to a school system to find out how we can make things more equal and we can see everybody as human beings, right? That we can give everybody an opportunity to achieve and that you can see other ethnicities and other people as simply that which is, all of us are created in the image of God. All of us have an opportunity to be great and recognize the greatness in others. See, if you would do that, see, that's how you can tell when things are disingenuous and when they are politically motivated by an ideology that's twisted and unlearned. Right? Because you can't even have that conversation. That didn't take me a minute sentence. That wasn't even a minute. That was a 45-second sentence to admit, yes, everything in our history is not good. That this country was built on the backs of enslaved people. And yes, that did happen. See, that cost you nothing. That cost you nothing to say. That cost you, and they ask for, and so they ask for more education. Okay, well, you go back to school and you learn as much as you can. And you come back and teach me. See, that's an easy conversation, but that's not the one they want to have in this country, right? And so the teachers got to fight that kind of antagonism from parents, that kind of antagonism from a community that while they're trying to teach one thing, this community trying to protect and make itself look good in history without simply acknowledging history and moving forward, fights them tooth and nail. But we have to begin to build the community around the teacher in the school so that they can do the best they can educating our young people. Listen, this is the Culture Call with L. Spencer Smith right here on Praise 93.3. Thank you so much for listening. We've got a little bit more to go. Yes, and I need you to keep it right here and don't miss it.
This is the world premiere.
Well, family, we have had an amazing day today as we've been talking about establishing collective and corporate partnerships and collaborations to support teachers and administrators and schools. Right. It's a community thing. That's exactly what it is. It's a community thing. And I have been so glad and grateful for the amazing teachers who have affected my life. I'm glad to be a teacher. I'm glad to come from a family of teachers. And I'm super excited for every teacher this year. And we're going to make this year the best year ever because we're going to support our teachers on a whole nother level as the community. Listen, before I leave you today, I've got to do something. And that is, today is my baby son Jaren's birthday. He is 25 today. My baby is 25. That's right. I know I look too young to have a 25-year-old, but on August 2nd, 1998, God blessed us, my wife and I, with the amazing bundle of joy. And we looked at him and named him Jaren Andrew Smith. And he is quite a man, quite a fellow. And if there's anything that I love better than being a father, I don't know what it is. I am grateful to have amazing children. And, I believe that God has honored me when he gifted me Big Juicy. That's what we call him. Big Jaren. That's right. That's my affectionate bud. And I love him. Happy birthday. Happy 25th birthday to my baby. And I'm hoping that today is the best day, begins the best day of your life as you move forward and maturing and getting older and all of that good stuff. And I have the privilege. He's home with me from Florida. He works and lives in Florida, but he decided to come home and spend his birthday. So after I leave here, I'm going to celebrate with my baby boy, Jaron. So definitely, Daddy and Mom are so proud of you. Y'all send a shout out. Go to Facebook, Instagram, find my son, Jaron Smith. That is right. And tell him the culture call at L. Spencer Smith said, happy birthday, happy birthday. Listen, I'm super excited about what is going on the culture call. You all are making it happen. And we have some amazing things planned for you in the near future. Some forums, some in-house guests that we're going to be bringing in. We took the slow route on the summer, but you have been supporting us amazingly and tremendously from all around the country. And I want to say as much as I possibly can that I super appreciate you and I love you. I am grateful that God has given me this opportunity. Listen, at the end of every phone call, y'all know what it is. My grandma and my mama always said, I love you a bushel and I love you a peck. And I love you a hug around the neck. Until tomorrow morning from the hours of 10 a.m. to 12 right here on Praise 93.3. We'll be back with the Culture Call with L. Spencer Smith. Until then, peace.